I was once stuck in Frozen too. Greatest superpower in the world that is attainable for you is the ability to influence people.
Stops Dr. Kirk Adams in championing for the blind. So welcome, Dr. Kirk Adams.
Dr. Kirk Adams, how are you? Welcome.
You know, I'm fabulous. Great group, Beto. I'm really interested in your core business. If you're a veteran-owned, disabled veteran-owned business, love to talk to you offline. We partner all the time. So
yeah, that's
I'm glad to be here.
Well, Dr. Kirk Adams, how about a fun fact, my friend?
I've been thinking about this because of all the politics in the news. 40 years ago, I was cross-country skiing in Michigan and met a guy who called me a few months later and said he was putting together a disabled team to climb Mount Rainier. And it was going to be the United Nations, the U.S. official commemoration of the United Nations Year of the Disabled Person, led by Jim Whittaker, who was the first American to climb Everest. So I was born and raised in little teeny towns in Washington and Oregon, but I joined this team. We went to Colorado to train. We summited Rainier. It was made into a documentary. We flew to DC, met President Reagan in the Rose Garden, and then after the ceremony, Jim Whittaker and his wife asked me if I had plans for lunch. I said no. They said let's go to Ted Kennedy's for lunch. So as a 19-year-old, I was wide-eyed and bushy-tailed in DC, and just been thinking about that a lot as the news is consumed with political strife.
So, Kirk, am I hearing correctly that you met Ronald Reagan and Ted Kennedy on the same day?
Same day, yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Gave Ronald Reagan some jelly beans and went and had lunch at Senator Kennedy's house.
What did you eat?
Well, there were servers and menus, and underage. I was only 19. I did have a Molson. I remember that. And swam in the pool and had a great time.
No, that's awesome. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's an honor and privilege. And what we're doing here is we're unpacking the superpower of influence. So my name is Sean Callaghy. I am the co-creator of this as we push towards our 250th episode that will occur tomorrow. But yeah, like, what is this and why are we doing it? So I am, well, let's go this way. So I am coming out of college, captain of the Columbia baseball team in 1992, hoping to play professionally, and my eye condition, retinitis pigmentosa, causes me not to get drafted out of Columbia after being a 4-year starter and being told I was going to get drafted. I'm just beginning to have problems with the condition that will eventually lead to my blindness. So I'm currently blind, but I do start my own law firm out of law school. Being the first person in my family, direct family in college, I was $100,000 in debt, started the law firm with my credit card, having no idea whatsoever that I was doing, because I, as Diana mentioned, quit my dream job. And I quit my dream job at this law firm 6 months out of law school because I realized that influence was a superpower, and it was one that I did not possess, and that I needed to unfold it, unpack it to have the life that I wanted to have. So I built a 40-person law firm, which I sold and exited within 2 years of, built it to 40 people. 2 years later, I sold it. I built a coaching, training, development company, but then realized the great passion of my life was to be present, being a business owner, not operator, for my kids, to coach all but 9, or coach and participate in all but 9 of the 1,000 games they played in their childhood in baseball and soccer and football and wrestling, and my daughter's plays and other things. And then I knew I would eventually go back and share this superpower of influence. So I had a 125-person law firm, which I still own to this day, and I speak around the world talking about influence. I have a unique privilege of speaking on Tony Robbins' stage 7 times now, and each and every day with amazing people like yourselves from all over the United States and all over the world, in fact, we unpack this superpower of influence. And so, Kirk, it's an honor. I also have the unique privilege of being on the board of trustees for the American Foundation for the Blind, and we're seeking to create new and dynamic relationships with and for the AFB in this amazing upcoming 100th anniversary year. And Kirk, if you wouldn't mind sharing, this is the 100th anniversary of and what's happening this year, please.
Sure. As we're in year 99, and we were founded in 1921. Helen Keller was our longest term employee, the brand ambassador, for 45 years. And really, we were started to use research and data and understand the biggest barriers faced by people who are blind and the greatest opportunities for inclusion, and then to facilitate collective action around those things. And we're still doing it, and unfortunately, we still need to be in business because only 3 out of 10 working age blind adults are working. So 7 out of 10 are not, which leads to poverty and lots of bad outcomes. So really met Sean about a year and a half ago, and we sat in his office in Paramus and talked about employment and talked about the fact that employers are dying for talent. Employers want people who are creative problem solvers and know how to analyze and manage risk, and people with grit, and people who can work in teams. And living every day as a blind person gives you ample opportunity to develop all of those traits. So our job is to match the need for talent with the source for talent and create pathways for people to get involved, have a great career, be contributing citizens, and buy houses and send kids to college and do all those things that we all want to do.
Well, thanks for that, Kirk. And just as a fun additional fact, Kirk, I had the unique privilege of hiring somebody today from Unblinded who is blind as a team member full time.
Awesome. Well, give yourself a big high five.
Boom. I will give myself a high five for that. And I will share this, standing for the world, the idea that people who are not sighted are capable of doing things. And between 2014 and 2016, there were 2 attorneys in the country that were in the top 100 national jury verdicts twice. It was a sighted person and a blind guy. And that blind guy might have just been me. And so, yeah, it's a 50-50 shot to be in the top 100 national jury verdicts if you're blind or sighted. So blind people are wildly capable of doing all sorts of fun and cool things. And my fun fact is, yes, I'm a certified scuba diver. I scuba dive with sharks. I'm a surfer. I was just surfing out in Coronado. I led a charge of crazy people into the Atlantic Ocean at midnight and in offshore hurricane conditions just a few weeks ago. And several of them were in fact blind also. And everybody beautifully made it out of the water. And because of Tony Robbins, as Vivian was alluding to just a little bit ago, about a month ago, I set out to tour the Grand Canyon with some other folks in the Lions organization in his world. And because of Tony, we were surprised, the 29 of us, that we were going to be jumping out of an airplane that day. And so I woke up not knowing it. A little while later, yes, Diana, I was jumping out of a perfectly good airplane thanks to Tony Robbins and all of his fun surprises. So we're going to have some fun today. Vivian, mwah, I cannot thank you enough for everything that you do. And you are remarkable and amazing. And I hope you have a beautiful balance of your Mastery Monday.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Yeah.
Love you, Sean.
Love you too. Thanks, Vivian. Amazing. So, Anthony, you are going to be beautifully drafted since you're from the East Coast to go first, since you know Bill Parcells. So who would you like Kirk Adams to be? We're going to play the fun game of going from hello to yes with integrity, not like Boiler Room meets Wolf of Wall Street. No. Heart-centered, integrous hello to yes. So Anthony, who would you like Kirk Adams to be? Dr.
Sounds
Kirk Adams.
good. Good afternoon, Kirk. Maybe you're a taxpayer who has fallen behind on his tax filing and or payment obligations.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's a
Cool.
good start.
Yeah. And so you're going to have 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be an absolute yes. There's going to be a second round of 3 minutes. We're going to pause in between. And Anthony, take us in. We're assessing how you open up Kirk's listening, put something at stake in this first round. Yeah, please take us in.
Hey, Kirk, good afternoon. It's Anthony Moriello here from the accounting office. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good. So I've got your lead here. We had done a funnel on Facebook, and I see that you've replied to that. How may I help you?
Oh, I will have to admit to you, I have not tended to my tax filings with the utmost care. I had a guy do it that didn't apparently do a good job. So I'm getting letters from the IRS that are they're scaring me.
All right. Well, I don't want to downplay this, Kirk, because it is important, but I don't want you to be scared. I want to start by saying you're not alone. I make my business every single day by helping out taxpayers just like yourself. But if I may, can I ask you what what happened? What caused you to fall behind, or why have you not addressed? Is there anything that has stood in your way?
Oh, we moved to New York State, and they have state taxes. I'm from Washington. There's not a state tax here. And then we moved to Virginia, and they have a different state tax structure. And we rented our house out in Seattle. I'd never have had a rental before. So, it used to be so simple.
Nomadic.
It's a little more complicated now.
It sounds that way. So what you're mentioning here are state issues, and those definitely need to be addressed. But with the IRS, that's federal. So no
Yeah.
matter what state you're in, the IRS will always remain the same.
Okay.
Can I ask you, do you have accurate records, or do you feel as though since you've moved so much, maybe some things might have gotten lost in the mail, or do you retain all of your mail and records?
Very poorly. Very poorly.
Okay, and we see this a lot, and it happens quite often. And to further put you at ease, although this might be the case, there is a way from the Internal Revenue Service that I would be able to access all of your documentation. So you might have lost information in the mail, but through my relationship as an enrolled agent with the IRS, I will be able to retain this information and get it for you.
What does enrolled mean?
So an enrolled agent is licensed by the Internal Revenue Service to represent taxpayers like yourself, who are not bad people by any stretch of the imagination, but just who happen to fall behind in their filing requirements. So my license is federal by the IRS to help people like you navigate the tax system and come back into compliance painlessly.
Huh. So what do you have to do to get enrolled?
So much like a CPA, there's a 2-day exam that I had to take. I had to pass all parts of the exam, and I need to get certified education every year to keep my license current with them.
Never heard of it. Learn something new every day.
Hey, Kirk, got a quick phone call. Yeah, you can
Okay.
bounce back in a second.
Yeah. So Anthony, I glad you got in touch. It sounds like we need to talk more. Thanks for telling me I don't need to be scared, but these letters that say Internal Revenue Service on them are a little intimidating. So I look forward to talking to you.
Yeah, he'll be right back, Anthony. So great job. Anthony, how'd that feel for you?
That felt okay. I felt like I rushed through it, and my eye kept going toward the timer. So I did feel like I was machine gun a little bit.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. I think you did a great job. Kirk, how would you, if you had one word to assess the connection, what would you share?
Rapport, emotional rapport, person to person, would have been the one place I would ask for some more focus.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Gantry, are you ready, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right. Who would you like Dr. Kirk Adams to be?
Well, I thought rather than do just a standard, buyer or seller, I thought it'd be more fun to have him be, let's say, a trust attorney, somebody
Yeah.
you get multiple pieces of the business off of.
Yeah, so that's absolutely, and Gantry, you get it. Like, right, that's what we're doing here. Going from hello to yes in any dynamic is so powerful. So I love it. So he's going to be a trust and estate attorney. Yes.
And let's say it was not a totally cold call. I was given his name by one of my clients, who used him for a trust.
Perfect, Gantry. Thank you. All right, Dr. Kirk Adams, you're a trust and estate attorney. All good?
Sure.
All right, let's rock and roll, brother.
Yeah, hi, Kirk. This is Gantry Wilson. I'm with Keller Williams Real Estate. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith gave me your name and just had some fantastic things to say about you.
Well, first and foremost, Gantry is a pretty cool name.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. One of the
How
things,
can I help?
Yeah, one of the things I noticed about you is, and they talked quite a bit about, was you sound really focused on your clients, and it didn't sound transactional. Where does that come from?
Oh, it's really philanthropy. Is really how do people contribute? How do families contribute to their communities? With the wealth transfer, the sale of businesses, I really work with families to get those next generations involved in giving. Oftentimes there's parents or grandparents who are really involved in the community, got the business going, they were really tied in, and then that tends to fade away with the next couple generations. So we want to get the young people involved early in thinking about wealth and the privilege that wealth brings and the needs of their community.
How did you originally get into that aspect of it?
Oh, I've been involved in nonprofits, nonprofit boards from early on. Really come from my family. My parents were teachers, brother and sister are teachers. My dad was a high school basketball coach for 40 years. So just have grown up in an ethos of contributing and sharing what we have.
I mean, it's
So that's really
important.
my motivation. That's what the practice is built on. There really needs to be that philanthropic element in the client's mind.
Well, that's really important. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you, because my clients had such great things to say about you, and obviously it shows through how you do business. Would it be okay to share a little bit about my success and what I'm from?
Yeah, please.
So my background is, and specifically in relation to your industry, is my father sold wills and trusts growing up, and now he's now retired. But I grew up around that industry. I grew up with, my father was old school, so even on Saturdays and Sundays, we'd take groceries and drop them off to clients and people who couldn't get out, and so became very comfortable around seniors and talking to them and hearing their stories and really finding out what's important to them. Since that, I've taken those skills and applied it to real estate, and so my goal is really to help clients as best as I can, and not only that, but for people like you, is to be able to make it as easy as possible, so you're not having to do a lot of work. I know we just have a little bit of time. What I'd like to ask you a little bit is, what's your biggest issue surrounding real estate in terms of your clients? And maybe we can talk about it. I know you got a phone call real quick.
Yeah, just got to grab a quick phone
Could be
call.
tax implications and the cost basis. Some of this stuff is very intergenerational. What are the tax implications if sales are made? So really, that seems to be the top of mind concern for people.
Gantry, Kirk's got a quick phone call. He'll be right back.
Okay, thanks a lot. I do have to run, but I'm so glad you reached out.
Yeah, awesome. So Gantry, how'd that feel for you?
I just felt like there wasn't enough time. Like I could have gone on, so trying to compact it down.
Yeah.
But I did feel like I got a little bit to get into him and find out what makes him tick a little bit was my goal.
Excellent work. So let's see what our fine judges have to say for today. Let's start with you, Alex. We're going to give 30 seconds of feedback to each of these fine participants, 15 seconds on what you thought worked well, 15 seconds on what might be optimized. Because remember, something's not good or bad, right? It's after great. Once we're at great, then the micro distinctions become exponential. And if I could drop it in this really quickly, what do I mean by that? I mean that influence is not linear. As I often mention, I think we mentioned even earlier, there's these micro distinctions that create exponential differences in the results and outcomes that people create. And that's where we're sitting in the space of finding those micro distinctions. So yeah, what went well, Alex? And let's have a few micro distinctions for Anthony, please.
Okay. So Anthony did, your rollout was very warm, and I'm always looking, the first few seconds, the matching and mirroring, the connection from that aspect. Your rollout was great. As you and your tone, you had a soft tone, but you still carried. You were businesslike, but not. You didn't sound boiler roomy. Let's say it that way. So you sounded, again, especially being, if you're from the East Coast or what have you, you can get a little bit of harder edge. So that was very good. And as you're going through, one question I would look at is the question is, how may I help you, versus substituting that potentially for something that might open an engagement. Because how may I help you is, for me personally, as I was listening to it, it was great. But my point in that is, like, I know you reached out, so there's something that I'm hoping you want to share that I might be able to help you with. Mm-hmm. So you're dancing with them more than do you want to dance? So that would be the distinction, or the subtle distinction. But I liked it.
Yeah, excellent. So
awesome.
Alex,
thank you much.
What'd you have for a score on a scale 1 to 10 for Anthony?
I honestly, here's the deal. Whenever I score anybody, I go, there's 1 to 10, and there is no 7, because 7's a BS number. It's the cop-out number. So either you got an 8 or you got a 6, you know, if I was going to go either way. So in overall, I felt like your understanding came through easily without having to pump your chest. So to me, I felt confidence in you just through your presentation. So I would give you an 8 based on that.
Alex, that's awesome. And how about for gantry?
And gantry, again, I've known gantry for many years, and ironically enough, and really smooth, easy, and again, your approach, it's a gentle, subtle approach, but it's directed, so it doesn't feel like, you know, like you're pantsing them, if you will. And so all of that, everything was great. The suggestions that I would have on that would just be is just the repeating back, you know, when they're sharing with you, just go, oh, I get it. So you've actually done this a long time. Well, that's amazing. So when you're setting up the next question to engage, repeat it back. So when your next question rolls out, it's a tee off of that last plateau you brought them to. So that's the only thing that I would suggest if there was anything. And overall, personal, you know, from a personality and engagement, I felt like you engaged really well. There was one spot where it didn't get where you weren't dancing with them, repeating it, and that's where I felt like you lost a little bit of engagement. That would be the point. And same type of thing again. I can tell you've used that script quite a bit.
Actually, I just made that one up.
Did you really?
Yeah.
God, that was fluid. It's really fluid then.
Yeah.
So what'd you have for Alex? Thank you.
Same time, you know, again, like I said, 8 or a 6, you know, or if I'm going lower, but it flowed so well. My thought there though was just because of the engagement, keeping him engaged was to bring that one to a 6.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Diana, what 30 seconds of feedback do you have for Anthony?
Well, I thought Anthony did a great job. What notes I put down was that I saw that he was very empathetic. I also believe he put himself in the potential person's shoes, and he spoke with certainty, clarity, and he gave them hope. I do have to agree with Alex. I didn't see that side, but I do think that Alex brought up a good point, but I didn't see it in my initial time of listening.
Okay, and a score?
And a score, I mean, I would have to give him a 9 just because I missed that other part, but I think maybe it's just the 3-minute limit.
Yeah, beautiful. How about for gantry?
For gantry, smooth operator. It's surprising that he just picked that one up. Very beautiful transition. And I really liked how he asked questions to find out more about where Kirk's heart and what was Kirk passionate about. And he was trying to connect with that. So that's kind of what I focused on. And again, thought he was very smooth. But I have to agree with Alex's point, you know, and guys, especially when they know each other, I think that's even great because women, and by the way, I did trademark love is my superpower. So I'm always trying to listen with giraffe ears and trying to listen with love. And so, but I think it's so great to have another man's perspective. And I know everybody here is a total rock star. So I would give him a 9 as well, and only giving him a 10 because I agree with Alex. He needed to up that mirror and repeating. But other than that, it was just awesome.
Awesome job. Thank you. And how about for Beto? Beto, what did you have for Anthony?
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So Anthony did great. I think he connected. His questions were well put out to be able to connect with the conversation, engage, and he was also talking about, you know, his experience that he's been dealing with this type of issues. So I think he had a very good way to communicate, you know,
Nice.
and about the issues that he was looking at.
Okay. And so what did you have for a score for Anthony?
Anthony, I would say he will have an 8.
Okay. And for Gantry, please.
Gantry, I like the way he connected, how he flowed, and then based on his questions, how he related his experience to be able to connect and help his client, right? So I think he did amazing. I will give him a 9 for sure.
Nice. Beautiful job. All right. So we're ready for round 2. Excellent job. Anthony and Gantry. Kirk is back. We're in reverse order. Gantry, you ready for Kirk round 2?
Yeah.
All right. Please take us back in.
So I get 3 minutes too?
Yes.
Okay, so 30 seconds, got me nervous.
Yeah.
So hi, Kirk, thanks for connecting back with me after your call.
Yeah, hello again.
So one of the things, if you have a second, I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the services we provide trust attorneys and see if this would be a benefit for you. A lot of times what I find is when families are ready to pass that generational wealth on, like you're saying, they want to liquidate some of the assets. And many times these homes have a lifetime of memories in them. And so they're a little bit overwhelmed and they're looking for somebody that can come in there and be able to take control and help them out and alleviate, a lot of that work for them. And that's something that we do. We bring in, estate sale people. We've got handyman, we've got repair people that if the home needs repairs for sale. And the whole process is to try and, make it a concierge service for your clients to make it as easy as possible for them. Could you see, would that be a benefit for you?
Yeah, the repair piece is really interesting. Some of these homes are older. I've seen people kind of scrambling around trying to find an electrician, trying to find a plumber. So to take that off their plate would be great. I will say that, obviously we've been in the trust and estate business a long time. So we have relationships that go way back.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my primary hesitation is I'm just thinking about the guys we've worked with forever and is there room, for someone new. So that's what popped to mind.
And absolutely, I understand completely, that you guys do have relationships, and that's, I would expect you to have that. All I can say is, because of, our goal is to be so customer service oriented, is that we can help it so we're not scrambling around and your clients aren't scrambling around. And you guys aren't having to field those questions, because I know that that's important part of the process is for that home to get sold to be put into the trust. What I would ask is to maybe take a look at some of our reviews that we have online, that could provide you with some extra, to make you feel comfortable about it. And all I'd ask if you have a difficult one or something, is to give that secondary, give us a chance and let us try for one of those ones that the regular people might be overwhelmed with.
Yeah, I'm happy to read reviews. I am blind. I use screen reading technology, so it needs to be a text document and not an image PDF. But if you can get it over to my assistant in an accessible format, I'll be happy to read with care.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to send those over. What might be better is there a time this week that maybe we could get together for 5-10 minutes, so at least I can introduce myself to you and show you a little bit about what we do.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to schedule anything myself. My assistant wouldn't have it, but I'll just get off as soon as we end the call. I'll just let her know we spoke and that you'll be in touch with some dates and times.
All right, Kirk. Thank you. Well, I'll reach out to your assistant.
Perfect.
Nice, Gantry. Gantry, how'd that feel for you?
It felt okay. Yeah, and that's a common response. Of course, I would expect him to have, to have people. So it's a matter of trying to get in to build that relationship further.
All right, very nice. Kirk, I'll come back to you after Anthony and kind of give a competitive round 2 assessment. Anthony, you ready for round 2 though?
Yes, sir.
Take us in, please.
Kirk, thank you for the call back. I appreciate that. I'm sorry we got interrupted earlier on.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if we can sort this stuff out.
I would love to. So the last we spoke, I believe you said you're currently in Seattle. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. My offices are based on the East Coast, where in New York and New Jersey, I do not let a little thing like distance or time stop what I've got to do for you. Are you familiar or comfortable with any sort of portal or way to get us your tax documentation?
Oh, yeah. as a blind person, there's a lot of paper involved, and I try to get electronic records when I can. They're not always accessible. And the last guy I worked with had a portal, but it was really challenging to use for me. It wasn't designed very well. So I don't know if you've ever looked at accessibility, but that's a factor for me.
Okay. What I can do is I can have, if it's all right with you, we can schedule something where a member of my team and my assistant would be able to get in touch with you and walk you through the very simple process of uploading any documentation, or if you have an assistant that you like to trust with this information, we'll have all of that information. We also have a portal, very simple to use, very point and click, and she'd be able to assist you with that if that makes it easier for you.
Yeah, that would be good. We would need to make sure that the systems work for me, and I do fortunately have some help. So
perfect.
That sounds like a good next step. I am, you mentioned about the state taxes and the federal. Like I said, there's some New York State stuff and some Virginia State stuff and rental properties. So does all that go on the same portal?
Yes, sir. And to make sure that I've got a complete safety net or training wheels on this operation, I'm also going to do what the IRS calls a compliance review, which will also make sure that from the IRS standpoint, I'm mirroring whatever information you're uploading into the portal. This will be a great distinction to let me tell you if something was missing, or it'll help us connect the dots just to ensure accuracy and that you haven't overlooked anything.
Okay, so that's a look back. That's a look back at previous filings. Is that what that is?
And not only that, but also to obtain your wage and income reports. So through each of these moves that you had to make, we'll be sure that anything that might not have gotten to you in the mail, I'd be able to receive directly from the IRS as to what was reported to them.
Okay.
Just to make sure that everything is fine for you. And if you'd like to do that, what I'll do is we can schedule an appointment to have Victoria get in touch with your assistant to coordinate the engagement.
Good. Let's do it.
Awesome. Anthony, how'd that feel for you?
That felt a little choppy. I felt a little bit more comfortable in the first one.
Okay, awesome. Kirk, would you assess today, both with Anthony and Gantry, more head to head, more heart to heart? What say you?
Obviously two really accomplished professionals who know their business, and I think my first comment was around emotional rapport, and maybe a little. 3 minutes is tough, but I know the Caligie formula a little bit. So where you been, where are you at, where are you going, what's working for you, what are your challenges? Those open-ended questions focused on the person you're talking to, and the level 5 listening. So these guys, both gentlemen are obviously very technically skilled and comfortable with that part of their role.
Right. So let's play with that for a second. So Kirk, how about if I drop in and let's have a conversation? I'll be Anthony around accounting issues, but let's say it's for the AFB, right?
Sure.
And you're you. Okay. So, hey Kirk, it was a pleasure meeting you on the Real Raw. I'm super grateful that you even had time to take the phone call. Yeah. And by the way, how did you get connected with Sean and the Real Raw and all this stuff to begin with?
Oh, I talked to lots of people, and who are passionate about this terrible unemployment rate for people who are blind. And I was talking to my friend Nicole, and she said, we had this amazing guy come out and speak in Arizona, and you have to meet him. And she's one of those people, when she tells you to do something, you tend to do it. So got on the train and went up to New Jersey, and we had a really, I'd say, a wide-ranging, kind of unexpected 4 or 5 hour conversation.
Wow, amazing. And you say you jumped on the train, like you're the head of this organization, and you personally got on a train and went to meet somebody?
Oh yeah, I mean it's relationships, and pre-COVID, the ability to sit down across the desk from someone and really talk and get to know them. that's worth hours and hours and hours of talking on the phone or emailing. So yeah, I tend to like to sit across the desk.
That's extraordinary, and we acknowledge you for that. And I'm hearing the passion. I'm hearing you're in your 100th anniversary year, and I obviously this is an issue that directly has impacted your life. But what drives you, and what's your ultimate vision of what you like to create as the leader of the AFB?
You know, what I want to do is make the road more smooth for the blind kids of today. So I became blind when I was 5. My retina is detached. I went to a school for blind kids, first, second, third grade. I was thrown into public school, sink or swim situation. You know, had all the struggles of not being able to get interviews for jobs, people doubting my capabilities, all of those things. And there are little blind kids in school right now with all the hopes and dreams and aspirations little kids have. And they're going to start stomping it out of them pretty soon. They're going to start telling them, you know, no, you can't do that. That's too dangerous. You know, you're blind. No blind people do that. So that's what they're going to start hearing. And I know that, and I don't want them to hear that. So my opportunity, you know, as the leader of the most iconic organization in the blindness field, is to make it easier. So those kids don't even, ideally those kids won't even know that kind of stuff happened in the past.
Wow, that's extraordinary. I can't even begin to imagine the journey that you're on and what your life stands for, Kirk, and it's an absolute honor. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and in the final couple of seconds that we have left here, you know, the work that I do, and I know that you know that I know Sean, and you know, I was on the Real Raw. The work that I do stands for something that seems dramatically inconsequential in this moment, but I know that it's not, because organizations like yours and the lives of people are run in part on heart and love, but that heart and love needs fuel, and that fuel is money. And what I found and discovered in this world is that there is such dramatic misunderstandings around money. And that includes in organizations like yourself in fundraising and how things are handled. And so what I'd love to do is sit down for a little bit longer. I know we only had 3 minutes today, to see if you've seen enough to unpack some things in a 15-minute conversation for you that I think would show you some real return on value in how you think about processes, how you think about taxes. And I'd love to spend 15 minutes with you on that to see if it makes sense to have a longer conversation. And my commitment in this world, Kirk, is to help create an elimination of ignorance for people around these issues. And I found that some of the smartest, most talented, incredible people in the world, in fact, 99% of people I encounter, are making extraordinary mistakes in how they relate to their money, their financial processes, and their taxes. So how would you feel about a 15-minute conversation?
Good. At some point, the chair of our finance committee would want to be in the loop. Should we have him included in this next meeting, or just you and I?
Listen, Kirk, if you would do that, I would be blown away. Thank you, of course.
Okay.
But I'm only asking for 15 minutes because I don't want to impinge on your time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Anthony, is that who you are or no? I'm asking.
That is absolutely who I am.
Okay.
That's awesome.
How'd that feel for you?
That felt like I wish I would have thought to say that. I was like, Sean, get out of my head. You verbalized exactly how I'm feeling.
Okay. No, also, I just wanted to demonstrate what emotions
awesome.
are and sequencing. So that resonates for you. I just want to make sure.
1000%.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's start with round 2 judges, 30 seconds of feedback for each of these fine folks and any other comments you have. I guess, well, as we get into the scoring, Diana, how was today for you? And then you'll give your feedback, but how'd you like being on the Real Raw today?
It was wonderful. I love everybody on here and appreciate being able to meet everyone today. What a gift. Would not have guessed that would have come about today, but life just gives us beautiful gifts every day. So it's a gift to meet each one of you. Thank you. And thank you, Sean, for starting this. And it's so beautiful. I wanted to cry a couple of times with Anthony.
I was, and if we could just, Unblinded team, just mute, so there's a little bit of feedback. So I was appalled by the idea of selling and marketing. And I mentioned that earlier when I understood that that's part of what the economy required, because I thought it was about something that was non-integrous. But Oprah Winfrey said she held the microphone for 30,000 people, Oprah in her final episode, because she said, I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters to me. And if we're in a shtick script process, that's very different than we're talking about. We're sitting truly present to people, unconditionally loving them, and trying to add true value and connect. So thank you for sharing that, because one final time, after I spoke at a large event, with more than 1,000 people one time, somebody came up after me and said, well, you don't have to make people cry to make them buy. And that's of course true if your intention is to make people buy. But if your intention is to connect with every human being you encounter, whether you can make money in a transaction or not, or maybe they're just cleaning the floor in your hotel room and you want to acknowledge them and treat them like a human being, well then, yeah, if we touch people and say, I see you, I hear you, what you say matters to me, and they cry, then I think we've done some good in the world today and in that encounter. So thank you for that acknowledgement, Diana, and for being here. And please share what you have for Anthony and for Gantry.
Yes, and I do find it in my personal life that it's easier for me to connect with others when I've connected with myself, when I've primed, when I have connected with my own soul, to be able to see and hear others. Sometimes we can get so busy with other things and not connect with ourselves. But find that if I connect with myself, my purpose, my mission, my certainty, then go and connect with others, it's so much easier for me to see them and for me to hear them. And I did do that before this. I wanted to be present.
And so I know we're running a little bit long on time, so with 30 seconds for, let's start with Gantry, and then 30 seconds for Anthony, please.
Okay. I like how he was wanting to, he did not like impose or force himself onto him. He said how he brought value by asking if the services he could offer would be a benefit to Kirk's clients. So I like that. And I also really made a little heart next to it, that he still tried to make a face-to-face contact. One of the areas where I don't know if it's just the wording, how it came out about, can you give us and this is something I struggle with, so I'm thinking maybe Sean can give some feedback here. There was one line when he said, well, can we provide you some of our reviews? Maybe you can give us a chance to help you on one that your regular people are too busy, to handle. I thought that was kind of good. That's one of the lines that I say, but I'd like to see if there was something a little bit better to help Gantry and to help myself.
In 10 seconds, because we're running on time. Okay. So what I would lean into there was a request for a chance. I love what Gantry did. Maybe a micro distinction would have been, listen, I just asked for one opportunity to compare and contrast. I'm sure you have amazing people, but I want to add massive value to you, and I ask for one opportunity. And if I don't wildly surpass your expectations, then never, ever work with me again. I lean in. And that actually opened up an account that was one of the most extraordinary relationships I ever had in my entire life, 23 years ago, that launched my law firm. Longer story for a different day. But yes, Diana, so what'd you have for a score for Gantry?
Okay, a 9.
For Anthony.
Yes, and then for Anthony, I liked how he offered ways to minimize friction and hurdles in doing business. I liked how he offered value by mirroring, how his services could mirror the IRS documents for his client, and so I liked the way that again, he was trying to see where he could offer massive value and how he could minimize any friction in the business process.
Excellent. And then what'd you have for score?
And I didn't see anything wrong. So I'm going to give him a 10.
Whoa. Ken, excellent job, Dan. Thank you again so much for being. Beto, what'd you have today? Quick 30 seconds, please, for Gantry.
For Gantry, he did great. I love the way how he's smooth and has good energy, and he's presenting in a very positive way. The only thing that I would say um, is that asking for the challenges that Kirk's clients could have, right? Looking for the opportunity on the challenges. And I didn't see a lot of emphasis on that because I go through that same thing too. I go and ask my clients that I focus, what is your biggest challenge? And then I'll take that bull, give me a chance, ask for the opportunity. So maybe looking at more challenges than just saying, let me give you the references of what I do, but how can I solve your issues? But he did great. I mean, his energy is amazing.
Yeah. And what'd you have for a score for Gantry?
I'll give him an 8.
Nice. And how about for Anthony?
Anthony, he was just offering solution after solution after solution after solution to be able to make it easier for Kirk. And that's just, that sells me, especially when somebody tells me, hey, you know what? If things are not done right, I'll have a follow-up. I have a way to find out if things were not done right correctly. And since I go through that challenge all the time, and I have people that come to me and my assistants or other people that vendors that come and tell me, hey, we didn't complete this. And that follow-up for me is very important because sometimes my mind is too full. And I love the way that he presented that and looked at different solutions, and he was very intense on that. So that was good. I loved it. And he was educating him also on the process of his challenge.
And so what'd you have for a score, Beto? For
9.
Anthony? Nice. Very nice. And how was today for you in the real raw?
First time, I'm an introvert when I'm on myself, an extrovert when I'm talking to my clients. So this was a different experience. First time, it was great. I love it. Actually, everything that happened here opened up my mind, and I'm actually gonna go back to work. Very excited about the things that I heard here, and appreciate the chance and the invitation for sure.
That's what we're here to do. Thank you, Beto. Alex, again, thank you for being here. And what did you have for some quick feedback for Gantry, please?
Gantry, you did well. I mean, again, unscripted, or as you're flowing, you sound so natural. I mean, it rolls, it never sounds canned. It sounds very, very authentic. So first and foremost, congratulations on that. Second thing that I love that you did was when you when he talked about his other people that he's working with, you automatically just went with it versus I see agents try to resist it. You went with it, asked for the tough one that nobody else would want to handle. You move smoothly through it. So great job. Great job.
Okay, what'd you have for a score, Alex?
On that one, you moved up to an 8.
Nice.
All right.
Anthony.
And then Anthony, what Anthony does well is he waits. You're not, so you do well because so many times agents are and with my guys that work with me, I always train them to be naturally curious, organically curious about people. Just try to get to know. Whoa, somebody mentions they're blind, or somebody mentions something. No way. How long have you been blind? Or was that something early onset, or was that later in life? But you even when he mentioned it, you automatically you built in a lot of objections into that, the distance and how your team could assist him with that. So you built that already into the dialogue without it being like, let me solve this for you. It was like, and by the way, I can have somebody help you with a lot of these things. So you did a great job that way. So you went up to a 9.
Nice. Excellent. And Alex, how was your experience today on the Real Raw?
No, it's great, man. I love the art of influence, and this is a great format and a great forum to do so.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being here. Gantry, thank you so much for being here as well, brother. And how was today for you?
It was good. Yeah, it was really good. the one thing, you've intrigued me. I'd like to learn more about what's the different steps and processes. Obviously, I've done lots of sales training, but I like the heart-based focused. So
Yeah, well, appreciate it. We have plenty to share around that, and I'm really appreciate it. Courage, your vulnerability, and I'm not confused about who you are and your success. Thank you so much for courageously coming on here, doing an awesome job, man.
thank you.
Thank you. Anthony, how was today for you, brother?
Today was fantastic, Sean. I had a great time. I loved everybody here. They're very sincere, heartfelt. Nothing feels forced. Even out of a comfort zone, people seem naturally to flow out of their comfort zone and kind of find their parameters and naturally just flow, man. It's awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. Dr. Kirk Adams, as we take it home on Mastery Monday, I cannot thank you enough for all you're standing for in the world and for being here today, Kirk. And yeah, final from you.
It was fun, wonderful people. I wrote down names. Got some. You bring in some wonderful, sincere, heart-centered folks. So it's always a pleasure.
Oh, listen, you know why, Kirk? Because we're all blind and just learning to see, brother. And influence is a superpower, and we're all about influencers coming together to make the world a greater place. And thank you for co-creating that today. Thank you all for co-creating that. Have a beautiful Mastery Monday, and we will hopefully see you.